Anyone can tap into their ancient wisdom and inner knowledge. It just takes you learning how to listen to self. Welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey. I am your spiritual tour guide, Jah, and W is for wisdom. Now, most people believe that all knowledge comes from books or from studying in school, but we also forget that those books in school were created by other humans, right? So on some level, somebody is tapping into some type of ancient wisdom from somewhere. May it be through our culture, our ancestors, ancient teachings from things that we've discovered. It's all there for us to tap into, which means us as the human have to learn how to be the antenna so that we're able to receive what is already around us, right? Like, have you ever had a feeling about something that you just knew? You knew it was right. You never studied it. You never went to school for it. You just know the answer. And then lo and behold, you go through this process of learning and turns out your answer was correct. That's ancient wisdom. That's the intuition. That's knowing. We talk about the clairs, the clairaudient, claircognizant, and all that, because those are parts of our soul that's already tapped into the grid. Our body has to be willing to tap out of some of this energy and tap in so that it can understand where this information comes from. This is what the Matrix was all about, right? Knowing that there's stuff that's fed to us, and then there's stuff that we just know because we allow the body to be open as a receiver. So what I'm going to do is I wrote a list, and I'm going to go down this list, and we're going to talk about these points that we're basically how it kind of guides you into knowing that you're on the right path, because usually I just do free flow talk, and that's great, but I also want a little bit of structure to this because I'm trying to get better at giving tools versus just my words. I know that is a tool, but sometimes people need defined sentences. So the first prompt that I wrote is, wisdom doesn't come from books alone. It lives inside of you. So when we walk into this earth, we have already been given the wisdom that we need to know. What happens is education allows us to open up to what we already know, right? You ever just have that moment where you're just like, man, I really love math, or I really love science, and you just are intrigued by it. You don't know why, but you're just intrigued by it. And so you go off and you explore, and the more you explore, that's when you start to do research and you realize, oh, maybe I can go find this in a book. Maybe I can go see if somebody else is already thinking what I'm thinking, just to confirm what I already feel. That's your ancient knowledge at work. That's your intuition letting you know that you're on the right path, which is why when we're kids, we don't want to stop them from believing in themselves or exploring things that they just come out of the womb talking about. Like when they're just attracted to something and you don't know why, that's their inner soul saying, hey, this is my blueprint. You need to explore it so that you can expand on it, and it's what's going to make you more successful in life. A lot of times people shut this down because they think that you want to go for what makes the most money on paper versus what goes with your heart and what your soul is saying will make you paper regardless. You will make money if you have passion for it. If you believe in it and you wake up and you love doing it every day, you will manifest exactly what you want if you know that is who you truly are inside. Most people lose that wisdom when they try to force themselves into paradigms and understandings of self that other people want versus who they are. Now, what I want to talk about is the ancestral, intuitive, and soul-based knowing. Ancestral is when you are in a culture and you grow up and your mom or grandma or granddad or whatever, they're like, this is how we do it. This is how we eat. This is how we prepare this food. This is how we do this. That is an ancestral cultural legacy. That's knowledge that is being passed on to you by your ancestors. And so out of respect and out of the way that your people or your tribe of energies from the past have learned how to integrate their soul into this earth, they have come up with ways to honor that. That's what culture is. That's what dances and music and all these different things that we love to share, or some people love to steal, let's be honest. That's part of the culture. That's why it feels so deep and innate to us, because you start recognizing that, they had a reason for doing this. Sometimes we just do it and we don't know why, But then if you really take that moment to be intuitive, you start recognizing the reason why. You start seeing the beauty in how they connected that to the culture and mindset of their emotions and their life, of what they're experiencing in that moment, because the universe is always talking to you and you're always experiencing it while it's experiencing you. So when we understand why something is the way it is and where it came from, we learn how to respect it more. The same thing with soul-based knowing. Soul-based knowing is when you yourself just go out into the world, and it doesn't take much experience from like hardships or anything. You just know, like, oh yeah, I'm not attracted to that energy, or no, that's not how I want to do it. Like, I appreciate how you're doing it, but that's not how I want to do it. And then some people are gonna be like, oh well, that doesn't make sense, it works this way. But you have to remember, soul-based knowing is, if I don't trust my soul, then how will we create a new way? There's a lot of energies in the world that they have to trust their soul. That's how we get inventions. That's how we get new creations. That's how we get anything new, because you're trusting that your soul understands its path and its journey, and you trust it as the human. When we stop doing that, we stop tapping into soul-based knowing. So it's fine to practice and understand culture-based soul knowing, but it's also tied to you waking up and tapping into your own soul-based knowing. Because the one thing I know, for me personally, all ancestors want us to know how to tap into ourselves. All of them. Any ones that aren't here or still here, that is the whole purpose of teaching. Remember, back in the day, they had tribal teaching, where you had to learn not only who you were, what the earth was and everything around you, but also how to respect that within the community. So when we as individuals start to walk out into the world and grow up, as we all will, we have to know how to re-articulate that into our own culture and to how we integrate that into our own families that we have, so that when they continue forth, they'll respect humanity as well as soul consciousness, so that it carries on to the next generations. So I said ancestral wisdom was passed down through the bloodline. You ever have that moment where people ask, like, how do you just know how to dance? How do you just know how to sing? That's ancestral bloodline. That is something that is given to you, a gift through the ancestors, that a lot of times, like my family, is very artistic. Everyone either draws, they sing, they dance, they have all these amazing expressive talents. Communication is very strong. So it's not a surprise that I'm a communicator or orator, because I come from a family where presentations was just the norm, where we had to learn how to present in front of each other. So it just came with it. And so when people meet me, sometimes they're like, oh, you're so articulate, you're so this. And I'm like, well, I am me for who I am, but also it comes through my bloodline. It's just natural for my, I guess, knowing to come through, knowing how to tell a story, knowing how to explain exactly what I'm feeling in that moment, so that other people can try to at least not so much sympathize, but have empathy for what I'm saying. Because remember, sympathizing is you're feeling exactly what they're feeling and you make it about you, versus empathizing, which is you're feeling what they're feeling, but you can see why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And you can then apply that to how you would feel in that same situation. And then you can have some sense of compassion. So this is why it's important to know that what's in your bloodline will still travel to you. It's like a DNA blueprint. So when we know how to, when people say, go learn your history, it's true. Because some of it's good and some of it's bad, right? Like, bad to me means like there's some morals out there that have been taught by generations that they think it's okay, but it's not. Just like there's some out there where they don't think it's okay, but it is, right? When we talk about psychics and energy work and stuff like that, that's been put down as if it's negative because a lot of people don't understand it. But you need to know who you are so that you can tap into that at a better, faster pace. Same thing for energies that are taught to you that you know don't feel right. You know it don't make sense. But you're like, well, my grandma, my mom, and everybody, they've been doing it for years. But does that mean it's right? This is the gift of knowing how to tap into wisdom, because we can get it wrong. We just have to know how to come back from getting it wrong versus trying to repeat it and just say, well, this is just who we are, because that don't make sense either. So ancient wisdom is always about knowing how to edit, rebirth it, rebrand it. It's always going to become something new as time goes on and as we learn more. So you don't want to get stuck or pigeonholed in something that you know doesn't work anymore. Or if you see how it was working, you can amplify it and make a hybrid of it and make something better so that it doesn't keep getting stuck in the past. Intuition is a lesson of when we listen to the elders teach or speak unspoken like learnings. When we say go sit with an elder and listen to how they talk, that's real talk. That's how you really actually learn how to sit and listen to what their world looked like when they were growing up and what your world looks like as you were growing up, and you compare and contrast. Because remember, even though we are in the same world right now, we have had different experiences. And so they're going to be stuck in the world that they know based on their experience, and you're going to be stuck in the world that you know based on your experience. But when we learn how to listen and communicate, we bridge these two generations. Like, I've stopped to listen to a lot of times with the elders, they'll talk about how things seemed easier. Things were easier, but they also were more brutal, right? Like, things were simpler because you didn't have the access that people on purpose and unfortunately just had no access to. Some was no access just because they did it, and some people purposely kept people from knowledge. So then for them, they don't go outside of that, right? It's like that analogy where if you keep attaching a horse to a fence and keep putting them on a fence on a leash, and then eventually you remove that and they end up staying because they think that they've tried, they fought to get outside of it. And once they realize there's no fighting, they end up just staying where they are. That's why it's important to learn how to bridge generations so that we can share this ancient knowledge. When we stop doing that is when we fall to the wayside and we lose track of who we are. Because at the end of the day, all we are, as I said before, we're clones of each other. And as we keep telling each other information, just like any other species, that's how we constantly continue to evolve, right? When you see animals, especially like, think about a roach, right? They just keep evolving and keep evolving and keep evolving. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They've been here for centuries. They ain't going nowhere because to some level, they have a divine intelligence that tells them how to survive and how to thrive and how to work together. And so that's why they're still around, even though it's annoying and it feels gross. Nothing against them, but infestations in general just are annoying. So the point that I'm trying to make is they understand how to communicate across generations. And so as humans, when we start to tap into our spiritual healing and the soul's knowledge of who it is, the only way to do that is to talk to another old soul that's connected to your tribe. You don't even have to be blood related. You just have to know that it's a similar tribe of energy where if you talk to them, you're going to hear how they're experiencing life, because it's all about listening to how we explain the story. When we are articulating energy and we're learning how to, again, go with that gut feeling that we need to explain something, trust it. Because that means a lot of times I'll meet people where it's kind of like, I don't want to talk. And I don't have the energy to talk to them. But then out of nowhere, there's just an energy that just wants to keep trying to talk to me. And I'm like, okay, spirit, either this is somebody that I need to know, or it's an energy that's trying to get into my field because it wants to siphon off of me. And so when I use my ancient wisdom in this moment, I ask myself, and this is when you use somatic therapy, and I ask my body, do you feel annoyed, or do you feel like you want to teach them or you want to help them? And in that moment, if I feel annoyed, get away from them. They're trying to siphon your energy. Trust it. But if there's a part of me that's like, oh, they seem sweet, let me just talk to them, that means that you're just there to give them a quick lesson on the soul tribe level. You don't have to be their physical friend in the physical world, but in that moment of interaction, when people say just a gentle hello or giving somebody a moment to speak, that literally does activate their soul. It literally takes them to a new level of understanding and knowing who they are. So when you understand that that means when you meet somebody and you don't know why you're drawn to them, just go talk to them. Just say, hi, how are you? Hope your day's going well. And in that moment, their voice can be a healing process. Just a few words from them can actually activate your soul and heal it and give it sacred knowledge. This is why I say it's important that if you are going to be a creator online, you have to remember that it's not about the likes. It's not about all the followers. It's great when it happens because we want to get monetized. That's the truth. But at the end of the day, having that bunch of people follow you who aren't your tribe is irrelevant. You want people who follow you who are your tribe because you're activating them. And when you activate them, those are the people who are like, yes, you're speaking to my soul. They're saying exactly what I need to hear. Because I see readers all the time and they're trying to explain it and people don't get it. It's like there is a tribe of energies that exists beyond just our own upbringing of our physical human, right? There's the physical family, and then there's the spiritual family. So knowing how to understand both is important. Now, next on the list, the inner compass is when you are your gut intuition. Don't ignore it. When we talk about the inner compass, I had my inner compass. I told you part of the story. Met somebody, my inner compass said, no. But I was like, well, it's like, no. Okay, go ahead and go for it, but you gonna find out why, no. And I'm like, okay. And I did what I had to do, and I found out the reasons for no. And that's why I was kind of like, okay, I'm learning how to trust. I've learned how to trust my intuition. I've learned how to trust my inner wisdom. We've all been in a situation where we was like, I should have listened to my first instinct. I should have listened to my gut feeling. That's the inner compass. That's the inner wisdom. Some people say Akashic records when we start tapping into like tarot and stuff like that and psychic work. It's all there. It's all there for us to tap into. But again, you have to be the antenna and be willing to tone into that frequency, right? Remember, the vibration is you allowing to be the vessel. The frequency is then how you tune in to be in the vessel to that type of frequency. So when it's trying to guide you and we say, don't ignore it, because you're going to miss something along that journey that's trying to communicate with you. And then when you do that, it does make your journey a little bit longer. And that's when I meet my spiritual babies where they're like, oh my gosh, why does this feel so long? Why does this feel so hard? Because you're ignoring parts of your soul that's telling you what to do. And it's not so much that you, the human, is ignoring it. You, the soul, is ignoring it. And the soul has to remember that you can't just rely on the human's intuition. You have to rely on your own, right? This is why sometimes you get conflicting feelings inside the body, because the body is interpreted as trauma and the soul is just nervous. So if you teach the body, everything that feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad. Everything that feels comfortable doesn't mean it's good. And vice versa, it can still be the same. Things that feel good can be good. Things that feel bad can be bad. But it's learning how to interpret them for the human body and its inner wisdom, and the soul for its soul's journey. So when we do this, then we can align and create a path that we know is for us. That's why when I said when we listen to the ancestors, but still create your own path, because they only get so far, and then you take over from that video game level to continue it. So, soul-based knowledge, we talked about. Ancient voice within, we talked about. Sometimes not learning is the remembering. Let me say that again. Sometimes the not learning is the remembering. So when we go through situations and we're saying like, no, that never happened to me, or no, I've never experienced that, or whatever, or in general, just life, you're hopeful and you go into a situation hoping it works one way. That's you not knowing. You're not learned it. You haven't learned anything. But then once you go through the experience and you learn it, everything floods in and you remember. And you're like, why didn't I know this before? Because it's like a switch. It's an activation. You need to go through certain experiences in order to be activated into your ancient knowledge. I don't know why it works that way, but it just is. It's just how it goes. That's why when we talk about reading books and stuff like that, that is what it means. If you don't know and you never crack a book open and go into the knowledge and see what it is trying to give you, then you won't learn and you won't know. So again, sometimes the not learning aspect where you just don't learn the lesson, well, go remember. And that's what we call this earth school, because that's what a lot of it's about, where you're like, I don't remember. And your soul's like, it feels vaguely remember, but I don't either. So let's go find out. And then you do it. And you're like, okay, we remember. And as long as you don't fall apart, remember, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Well, that's what we mean. I would rather learn a lesson and save my life than go into something not learning my lesson and lose my life. Does that make sense? So yeah, that might suck to get slapped in the face, but I'd rather get slapped than shot in the head. And I'm not trying to be graphic, but I'm saying energetically, yeah, I don't want to lose my energy that way. I want to make sure that I am actually making the purpose that I'm supposed to make and following the journey that I'm supposed to follow and learning the lessons that I should learn so that I can continue to grow my knowledge and let that inner wisdom continue to be what it is. Because remember, when we talk about collective consciousness, it means it's shared for everyone. It seems weird, but I know some people won't believe it, but I'm not worried about those people. When you yourself as an individual learn a lesson, energetically and spiritually, you just put that out into the universe and other people will learn that lesson without having to go through all the hardships. Some will still have to repeat the hardships, but some will not. Where energetically, again, some kids just know. Like that's what we're talking about imprinting. When you grow up and you watch something happen, I used to see my brothers go through so much stuff. And I learned very quickly, if I don't do that, I won't have to go through what they went through. And I didn't. And it sucked for them, but at the same time, I was able to be empathetic and say, I see how much that hurts. So therefore, I don't need to hurt that way. Let's not do that. And that's how you save your life. That's how you tap into your energy. That's how you tap into source. So you have to know how to apply this throughout your journey. But again, it's all about finding the way to structure it. So the next thing on my list is close your eyes and think about what truth has been waiting to speak to you. When you understand that when we talk about meditation and quieting the mind, one guy on TikTok, I forgot his name, I got to get better at this, but he said it, say it to yourself. I wonder what my mind's going to think next. And believe it or not, it's like you're putting it on the spot and it stops thinking. It's like, what am I going to think next? Because you've put a blockage in the channel momentarily, and it's like, what are they trying to do to me? What's going on here? Because the mind is just a free-flowing avenue. It's just a free-flowing path. So anything that's around you is going to come to you. That's why we say energetically, if you're around people who are depressed or around people who really don't love life or don't like themselves, you're going to be fed into that energy and believe it too. That's why it's important to understand that when you learn how to listen to what is trying to speak to you, because there's a lot of information that wants to come to you. But if you're constantly worried about, oh, he don't like me, and I'm so obsessed with boys, and I'm so obsessed with girls, and this and that, that's not, it's okay to be attracted to energy, but that's not our purpose here on earth. I've learned that many, many, many times. Trust me. I enjoy all of that comes along with dating, but that's not your purpose here. No more so than just working all the time and working and hustling and hustling. That's when it's like, I'm hustling, I work so hard, nothing's coming to me. Who said you had to work this hard? Slow down and pay attention. Listen to the voices and the energy that's trying to speak to you. And believe it or not, those are the times when I'm sitting silently doing nothing is when I get the most ideas. They come to me quickly, swiftly, clearly, and then I start writing them down. And so it's like, let me pay attention, because everything around you is trying to teach you something. You just have to be a willing vessel to listen, and you have to be open to it. And you have to know that, again, it's not about punishing self. It's about learning how to make space for self, right? Some people think that being quiet is a punishment. No, I know as a kid you were taught that, but it's about learning how to have discipline over your own energy, so that when things don't make sense, you can quiet the noise around you and really listen to what matters to you. So your source energy is the guide, your wisdom is the keeper. Source energy for me is, again, whatever energies come through me to make me be obsessed with spirituality. The fact that I really am always tuned into, that don't sound right, that don't feel right. I don't think that's the universe for me. My universe, whatever my universe is telling me to go this route. It's telling me to do this. And I trust it because it's worked for me, right? That's why we ask people, who are you listening to? What voices are talking to you? Because some people will tap into sources that are not wisdom. They're just power and control. But yes, those work too. Remember, all energy works. May it be negative or good. So if you are tapped into a source of negativity, it's still going to work. That's what a Karen is. They know that throwing a fit and going crazy and all that, it works. For some, they really are just fragile because they've never been challenged, so they fall apart. That's still a spirit. That's still an energy. And that's their source energy. And until they learn that this source energy doesn't work for everything. I should probably find a source energy that actually is more encompassing and covers all. So for me, my source energy for me is joy. I always say joy because joy means I will find the silver lining. I will find the light and the love in every situation. Even if it's not the greatest situation, I will find the joy in that situation, and that's my source. So for me, because I'm tapped into the source of joy, I'm always going to have the inner wisdom of, I'm good. As long as I got this, I'm good. As long as I know this, I'm fine. And it works for me. So you have to define what source energy is for you. Some people say Jesus. Okay, well, Jesus Christ's love was about love and being forgiving. So that means that you need to be a forgiving, loving, open soul. So you can't preach Christ's love and be an evil soul. That don't work. It don't make sense. So you'll see people doing that because it gives them a false sense of power, but that's not how it really works. You have to understand that in order to embody the energy that you're tapping into, you need to know that it's the real energy and not a fake one that was manufactured by humans. Because there are people out there who think they're talking to Christ's love, but they're not. They're tapped into the distorted ideology of it, and you can tell who they are because they get angry too fast, their whole grudge is too long, and it don't make sense. Like, okay. So that's why I tell people I don't have anything against any religion or anybody who decides to devote themselves to it. I pay attention to the source energy that they think they're tapping into, and that's how I then accordingly let them come into my energy. So when we talk about ancient wisdom, this is the part of you where discernment is very important because you don't want to just believe whatever the humans around you are saying. You want to believe the energy that you're tapping into and know that you're tapping into the right energy. How do you know if you're tapping into the wrong energy? It's more like when it's the right energy, there's no rush. There's no agency to get there's nothing that's trying to force you to do it right now. When it's manufactured or fake energy, now. It's too good to be true. We're selling out fast. It's the last one left. Don't you ever believe that line. There's more. There's always more. You just about to be the sucker that buys the 100th one, but it's the last one. No. So when you're trying to pay attention to which energies matter, don't sit on it too long either now. You got to learn how again, discernment. If something is speaking to you and it's saying do this in a calm voice, trust that voice. But the voice that's, okay, we got to do this, we got to do it. Don't listen to that voice. That voice is about to mess you up. It's about to put you into a situation that you don't want to be in. Trust and believe me, I've been there many, many a times. I'm actually going through it right now, looking for apartments because I want to get an apartment now, but the ones that are coming to me, too good to be true. You go look up reviews, horrible reviews, and I'm like, there you go. That's why there's a sense of urgency for them because they know they're just trying to trap you into a lease. No, thank you. I'm going with the ones that are taking their time to respond. Even though it's annoying, they're teaching me patience because it's making me see that this is probably more worth my while than putting myself in a situation where I'll be completely unhappy, right? So you got to trust that intuition. Slow down, pay attention, go with your gut feeling. Now, last thing on my list. Everything you're seeking is already in you. People have already said this. This is not something that's new. Every single thing that you want is already inside of you, which is why we said, go back to your inner child. Go back to that source energy that already knows who they are and knew who they were before it became tainted by the world. When you allow yourself to, again, and it's simple stuff, simple things where people say, it's not about the actual act of, it's about allowing you to go back to that space where everything felt carefree. So yes, watching the cartoons and shows you used to watch, eating the little snacks that you used to snack on, playing the games you used to play. Do it. See who you were then. Remember, it helps you remember because it's an activation too. It's just like playing with an old toy and you loved it and then you stop playing with it and it shuts down, so you turn it off and you never think about it. And then you go back and turn it on, you're like, whoa, the battery still works. Yeah, it never stopped working, you just stopped using it. It's the same thing with your inner wisdom. It's the same thing with your inner voice. It's the same thing with your sacred knowledge. You have to know how to find a way to tap back into it. And there's no way to do it without allowing yourself to be available to it. That's what wisdom is. Wisdom is saying, I know that I have to experience this, or I know that I don't have to experience that. It sounds conflicting, but it's true. Like, I know that I don't need to go jump off a bridge to know that I don't want to do it. Some people, they need to go jump off a bridge to see what it's about because they want to know what it feels like. That's fine. There's nothing against that. But at the end of the day, trust your wisdom, trust what you're feeling, and then go out and compare and contrast to the world. Don't just take what people say verbatim and go live it and then say it didn't work for me. Well, because it wasn't built for you. That was built for someone else. Take your knowledge, take your wisdom, listen to it, and then go see which keyhole it fits into. Because that's all wisdom is. It's like a key that's spaced specifically for you, and there's a bunch of doors, and you just keep go checking doors until it opens. And the one that opens is usually meant for you. And you go in and you take that path and see where it takes you. Anyways, love you guys. I hope this made sense. Thanks for following along with me. Usually I don't use notes. I don't know how I feel about it myself, but I liked it. There's still some structure to it. We still kind of went off the top of the dome, but it gave a sense of structure to something that most of the time for me, myself, I don't know how to keep it in a structured way, because for me, I just go with my intuition. My intuition and my confidence are always going to take me where I need to go. So when I'm giving it back to others, I want to make sure that it makes sense on some level. So I hope that this did. Either way, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, a great start to your week. Like and subscribe. Follow me on my socials. Check me out on my website. As always, love you. Besos. Mwah.